Episode 37. Starting out with some airheads for some sugar with a Mountain Dew. Ain't ate lunch yet. Dinner time is here still at the office. Mr. Perez, Ryan, JT's Garage says if I don't win something tonight, I'm selling everything. Oh, my wife's nice. But then if you did win tonight, it would look like it was set up. But isn't tomorrow like Valentine's Day? Probably it's not a good idea to do it right now. What else we got here? Locally hated. I'm not going to remember the name because I talked to like 1,000 people, but I met one of y'all this weekend in Bradenton. Who was it? What else we got? Tonight, what do we got tonight? Well, we have HiFi Vector back on. He's done a lot of testing lately. We're waiting for some more people to jump in here. I'm slamming down. No, I know who locally hated Ryan wears, but I didn't meet him with somebody else with them. Excuse me. I don't know. Airhead. Goodness, sugar. Oh, the grill. Problem is, hard to talk. Let me finish my sugar. Then I'm going to put it in anyway. All right. You met Eric. That's right. I was him. Brandon Arrowwood. So as you're coming in, I didn't even open up what we're talking about today. Holy cow. We have one of them days. I have like one of those months on. Can one of my team just teams me something in the podcast chat so I can find it? Did y'all do that? Just a dot or something so I can open it up. One of y'all. Trust me, everyone. I'm not talking to myself. My team can hear me. Can one? Oh, there it is. I see it. I got it. I'm opening it. All right. So tonight, who do we have in here? We got Juan Terry Heidman. I don't remember that name. Are you new, Terry? If you are, thank you for coming on. I'm slamming down some, what are these things called again? Airheads and Mountain Dew to keep myself awake. It's been a long day. What are we going to talk about tonight? Well, this weekend we got to go to Bradenton for drag race at HRA. That was pretty cool. Gave out a bunch of chains and bags and stuff and got to drive up and down where the stands are. I kid you not, there was at least 15,000 people or more there. They had to shut the gates on Saturday. That's how packed it was. They couldn't let anybody else in. It was crazy. Also, we're going to talk about March Digital V2 amps are here. You popped that picture up. There you go. With the improvements. Now, this is a good time to get a good deal on the regular marks, which are all on sale right now. Like 25% off. So V2s are nice, but if you're just regular stuff, catch a good deal on that. Okay. Deviant has arrived. Talk about tax time sales, audio control, kicker, sundown, and Death Bounce actually starts not tomorrow, the next day, I think. So there's a lot right now going on if you already got some money. Oh, Friday, sorry. Thank you for updating me. That starts Friday. What are we giving away tonight will be UC 31. We had an extra one from when Sean Mayo was on. Mikey making a note. I think he was supposed to ship those from him. So if we ship them, we need to get those from him. Okay. But we also have Mr. HiFi Vector on tonight, who's been testing a lot of stuff. And there's some stuff you don't even know about him. Like, he's actually an engineer. Really cool. I like the way you test stuff. So that's what we got going on tonight. Appreciate you all jumping in. I'm wondering if we have any more coming in, and if not, Let's just get this thing started. Ben, kick it off.
Let's go. It's the Big Sound Podcast. Welcome back. Got one hell of a cast to keep it action-packed. Big Ben on the scene, yeah, and Taylor the hair. Allie the queen and Big Jeff in the chair. Got audio legends coming on the show. If you need some advice, then you'll be good to go. Got the usual suspects at the chats. And Deviant for life, straight rapping facts. Big Jeff coming through like he's Santa Claus, cause he be giving stuff away, yeah, he's the boss. And hit the website no matter what your budget's. Year, make, and model, we will tell you what fits. And hair tricks, get them for just $1. Cop a Big Jeff shirt and pop your collar. We bout to take off like a convertible drop top. Haters sneaking in, they get hit with that bot shot. Before we set it off, you gotta do something. Grab your chain, your shades, and your pinky ring. Now we ready to go, yeah, it's time to begin. You know it's Big Jeff audio for the win. Team Big Jeff, y'all can start the show. Let's go.
3, 2, 1, go!
Mr. HiFi Vector audio in the house. Are you
in the house, dog?
Are you a football guy? Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Nah, I don't have time for that, man. I test too much car audio to have time to watch football.
I don't have time either, but I watched the Super Bowl this year. None of my teams were on there anyway. But it was probably one of the best Super Bowls I watched. I mean, it went into overtime. It was pretty crazy. It was definitely worth watching for sure. Okay, we got Mr. HiFi
I've heard
Vector.
mixed reviews.
Say again?
I've heard mixed reviews. Some people said it was a real boring Super Bowl until overtime.
It was
low scoring.
Yeah, no way. It was so tight. They thought it was gonna be a blowout. It wasn't. Mr. George,
What up, George?
Ryan C, Deviant, somebody named Host, which means you gotta click the link. We'll put it up for you so it shows your Facebook. Bradley Arlington. Oh, we are the host. Thanks, guys. I'm having one of those days, Mr. Vector. Anything that's gone wrong has gone wrong. I even had a employee cuss at me.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Does he still work there?
I don't know right now. I can say that I can get loud when I talk. I wouldn't say screaming, but I just have a loud voice. So when I do raise it, but that's usually what everybody goes to, like automatically I'm at fault. But I definitely don't cuss at any of them. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't cuss them out or cuss at them. Like I don't go to that level.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened today. What a day. All right, so tonight we got a few things we're going to talk about. Some things with you because you've been testing equipment pretty regularly now, which is kind of cool. And then one of the big things I want to talk about is the Marks Digital, because you got to test two different amps, right? The older ones, which
Yep.
the MP was pretty impressive. Ben,
Yeah, I like that MP.
Yeah, that's a pretty tank of an amp, man. So Ben, pull up the pictures on these V2s. Okay, so the first things I want to stand out is it's got the fully loaded bass knob now, the version 2. So that's got temp, voltage, clip. I mean, it does it all. You've seen a lot of those style remotes out there in the more expensive amps. They also went to Tiffany style RCAs. 8 gauge outputs on the speaker terminals, and on the 5K and up, it has dual power and ground 0 gauges. So there's a few more things internally, but the regular Marks amps are very strong in my opinion. Yes, it does do temp. So we're blowing out the regular models right now at 25% off. We should have all the new V2 models up by the weekend. So if anybody's looking to get a good deal, that's where you want to go. HiFi, which amp you prefer? But that's a good question. We could jump right into that because that's always been an online battle. Full bridge and half bridge.
So that just depends, honestly, because if you test like 20 different half bridge amps, they're going to sound different. Some people don't realize that they do. Um, some amps use more dampening, some use less, some are more punchy, some are smoother. They actually have a sound difference that some people, don't really realize because, like me, sometimes I pull 5, 6 amps out of my truck a day so I can hear the difference.
Right.
So, and it's just like with subs. So I don't really prefer half bridge or full bridge. I have a lot of half bridge amps that I love and a lot of full bridge amps that I love. So it's not really one or the other. I'd say if for 4 channels, I'd say I kind of tend to go towards half bridge because they tend to be a little cleaner, but the full bridges, the technology these days has gotten so good that even the full bridge 4 channels are pretty dang good.
Well, can you break it down for us? What is the main difference in half bridge and full bridge?
Just to make it simple, it's like a full bridge is like 220 electricity, where you have voltage going on the positive and negative, and
Okay.
a half bridge is like 120 volt, house wiring. You have a neutral and a positive, so really everything's going in on the positive, and the negative is just kind of a receptor, and that's how you get so much more power on a full bridge because both the positive and negatives are pulsing power.
Okay. So just to clarify that, because I hear it all the time online. I don't think people really, that's a good way to explain it. When you have power ground, full bridge, right? Then you technically can get more power out of it. Is that the right
Yes.
way to say it? Okay. Half bridge, where you just have like a mono output type, but also the internals. Um, you're going to get, I don't want to say less power, but the amp is going to produce as much.
Yeah, with more components inside. So full bridges, that's why they're smaller, because since they're utilizing power on both the positive and the negatives, they can be half the size because they're producing basically double the power.
Okay. How could a regular everyday person tell the difference without, is there a way to tell from the outside or no?
Um, Not really. The best thing to do is if it's like a 3K and it's really small, then it's not going to be a half bridge. Because you just can't. Half bridges are bigger. So if it's
Right.
small, and then also usually the full bridges will have a couple fans in there. If there's anything big, like you look on the side, if it's got fans, because pretty much hardly any half bridge has a fan. Just full bridges usually do.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's easy to tell.
Now on the Marts, some of them actually have 3 fans, which I think you caught that on one of the videos. It had a push pull and then one on the board, right?
Yeah.
Which I think combination of them being pretty quiet and having that is a way that it could take a lot more abuse. So also I wanted to bring up, everybody has these online groups and everything else. We had a customer this week. Box came, he had a Avatar STU, the orange subs. One of them came cracked. You could tell like it fell off the truck or something. It doesn't just crack on its own, the basket. So he put a comment up. It was like a sad day. He was all excited to get it, and one of the subs phone didn't blame us, but then right away the comments go nuts. Oh, that's what you expect from Big Jeff. He probably shipped it to you that way. Like idiots actually think I would waste the money to ship a broken speaker knowing I would have to take it back or fix it. But anyway, we get them all taken care of record time, and then he puts up a post. Pull that post up, man. Back on the same group, Baseheads on a budget, and then it's still sitting in there pending, and that's over an hour ago. But big shout out to Harley there, who made the attempt to try to set things straight, and he finally got his system working. He's got all def bonds. He's got a 7900, and he's got 2 of the STUs in there, and I'm not sure what kind of battery. Obviously, it's some lithium. It could be Headway. I'm not really sure, but big shout out to him for keeping it real. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about a few things. Let's do this. We got a video I don't know what video they have queued up for you, but I'm excited to see it. Let's queue up Mr. HiFi Vector Audio's video, and then we'll be right back.
Your attention. This is a special report from the Big Sound by Big Jeff podcast news department. As you know, HiFi Audio Vector was one of our previous guests.
I've been into car audio since I was 16 and got my first car. Got my flame rekindled with all this new car audio stuff that came out.
And during the episode, we told him we wanted to bring him back on a future date to talk more in depth, get to know him better, and see how his channel has come along since episode 28. Since that great episode, he has tested some of our products and made some cool videos.
This is the brand new, just released Big Jeff Audio 22 amp hour lithium car audio battery. So this thing's pretty cool. It's super small. So thanks to Big Jeff for sending me these to review. I really appreciate it. Alright guys, so we're back in the shop. I rocked these subs for about a week in my truck. I pushed them hard on the Smart 5 bass. And I will tell you, I really enjoyed listening to these subs all week.
Ladies and gentlemen, here our returning guest, HiFi Audio Vector.
So before we get into that, we have everybody always comes on the podcast. They want something for free. We have one more. Shout out to Sean Mayo from Excess Power. We have one more B stock of the UC31 we're going to give away tonight. Now, keep in mind it's B stock, which means they changed all the innards, but the outside doesn't look so pretty. But anyway, if you want to win that tonight, comment the word HiFi, H-I-F-I, and we'll pick a winner later today. All right, let's get into this, Mr. Vector Audio. You did the Black Diamond 12s, which are basic 1,000 watt RMS subs, right? You know, what was your real thing? How did that come out? I mean, give us your real info.
It came out better than I thought, actually, because, you know, I hear a lot of subs, but those things surprised me because not only did I overpower them like crazy, but they sounded really good. Like, they hit the lows really good. They were musically accurate because, like, all my guys watching my channel, they know, I mean, I review a lot of stuff, but personally, I like stuff that has good transient response and accuracy because I listen to metal, bass music, I mean, country, I listen to it all. So I want a sub that does it all. So those did really well, actually. And I was surprised how they hit the lows with authority.
You know, and again, I have 40 different brands here, so I'm not like any brand particularly like I support any other. But in my Grand Wagoneer, I have 3 of those with 2 of the Black Diamond amps. Unfortunately, we had to split up the coils. But I'll tell you what, the sound, the bass out of it, it's almost like a home audio sound. It's that clean. There you go. And honestly, that in that car, it just sounds so clean, the bass. I mean, it gets down, but there is a difference in quality of bass. For the bass heads on here tonight, I know you just want to get loud, you know, rattle windows and everything else. But for guys that like to turn it down a little bit, enjoy it, there is a sound qualityness. And I always compare it to home audio, right? Because home audio is imaging, staging. There's a wider range of frequencies hit. You know, when the fire crackles and the surround sound, you feel like it's coming around you. And I'm for 1,000 watt, $100-some sub, I think they're what, $150 or something. It's actually pretty impressive. It's really not that bad.
Yeah, they sound very good. I was surprised.
Bradley asked, vented or seal box? So I have mine in a vented, 3 of them vented, and I think a HiFi did his. You had 2 separate venteds also, correct?
Yeah, I ran those in Aeroport boxes.
And you had, those are tuned to what frequency?
34 hertz.
Okay. Wi-Fi, what is your go-to brand? That's a good question. I mean, what is your favorite brand? Well, I guess you got to say for what? Amps, sub, speakers, because I don't really think one brand just knocks it out of the park all the way around, personally.
For amps, again, guys, there's so much, but for amps, I love the Teramps Bass Series amps.
Okay.
I just like those things. For full bridges, and I test a lot of amps. You guys know. Those things sound as good as a lot of the Korean half bridges I have. Right. So, and they're smart. So I can throw in a half ohm sub. I could throw in a 4 ohm sub and it still pumps. So, you know, if I just had to say one, I mean, I'm kind of a Teramps bass fan on
Okay.
that one. As far as sub goes, that's harder, man, because there's so many good ones. And I haven't tried them all, but I love my Resilient Sounds. You know, I love Scar VXFs. I love my American Bass XRs. I love my Sundown X's, and they all do stuff different. You know, budget subs, those Black Diamonds are awesome. The Soundstream R3s are super tight and clean. So there's so many.
I want to get to Bradley's question here because I think this misconception all the time. We get them all the time when they come in the store here. There is no sound difference between 4 ohm and 2 ohm. It's how the coil's wired. It's just the resistance. So I get people, especially when it comes to like loudspeakers. You're like, hey, do you need 4 ohm or 8 ohm? They're like, oh, which is better? It's like that doesn't make the difference how many you putting together and you know what your amp is able to do. So Bradley, 4 ohm and 2 ohm, there's not a sound difference. I mean, technically it could depend on how you wire it down to the amplifier. If you're trying to get a 1 ohm load and you're running a 4, you're not going to get all the power out of it. But actual sound quality per doesn't matter. Also, I don't know if everybody knows, but you can also wire up a speaker with only one coil. That's probably another night we can get into. But technically, you can wire up one coil. Okay, then I think the big one. Do we have something to bring up on the Big Jeff battery? We sent you out one of the lithium 22AH, and you did a great test because you compared it to a full size AGM diehard, right? And I think it was an awesome test because the AGMs do very well, but like you said, they really do well when they get down in the lower voltage range.
Correct.
Carl, we don't want to go down to 10 volts, but when you were testing the stuff in the 12, 13, how did the 22 amp, how did that compare to the diehard?
I mean, it blew away the diehard. That's the problem with AGMs, and that's why I did that test. Most AGMs are rated at like 10 volts. That's because their only resting voltage is about 12.7, 12.9. So it doesn't take long for them to get below 12 because, 0.9 and they're already at 12 volts versus, the lithium, the resting voltage will basically be your charging voltage. So 14.6, 14.4. So you have a lot more leeway to drop before you're even below 12. So lithiums are just the way to go. I hate to say it, guys, but I'd never use an AGM because they're heavy, they're expensive. The other thing about AGMs, they charge super slow.
Right.
So lithiums in between bass hits, they charge so quick, you'll kind of trickle up your battery during those hits. But AGMs just drop and drop and drop and drop.
I think the other thing you brought up was really cool, and I never even thought about it, is you brought up one that the lithium didn't get hot during all that testing, which is a plus because some can. And then, you were also showing how it bounces back so fast. So that little tiny battery that was like, basically the size of your hand. I mean, you can couple it. The amount of power that it produced is crazy. I think my guy said did you guys load the video? If you did, bring it up. His video? Well, we can just show a little bit of it. Yeah, if people haven't seen it. And you all can check out HiFi Vector. We'll put a link in the comments to his YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe if you haven't done it before. He doesn't put out a ton of videos. He puts out really strong videos, like with lots of information. He really goes to them out. Go ahead and play some of that video he did. Ben, you ready? Play some of that video. Oh, it's on the side. Oh, hold on. I don't see it. Oh, I see it.
This is the brand new, just released Big Jeff Audio 22 amp, and we're at 7 1/4 length. By 3 1/2, slow charge it. The lithium having a higher resting voltage, but But we're going to go ahead and do the 12 volt and then the 10 volt test. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so both batteries are charged fully. And this is the resting voltage after charging a few minutes ago. So this is the AGM resting voltage. That's after being charged. Now this is the Big Jeff resting voltage after.
So right there, real important. You have a whole volt higher sitting, right? So that's where you're talking about the recovery time. Am I correct?
Yeah, well, if you start with higher voltage, it takes longer to drop the low voltage. But yeah, also the recovery time is like way faster on lithiums than AGMs.
So I think what I got from the video was, one, definitely keep up with that. But I mean, two of the Big Jeff batteries pretty much handle most of your stuff, which is real cool. Let's get to some of these questions before we miss out on them. HiFi favorite size woofer, what size? That's always a big one. 10s are better, 12s, 15s. Do you have some input on that?
Yeah, I just try to give you guys as much information as I can. I'll try to be quick. Honestly, I've had some 10s that blow away 12s and some 12s that blow away 15s. So it's not always size. It depends on the sub. I've had 8s that blow away 12s. So it just depends. And it also depends on your box.
Right.
So if I had to say my favorite sub right now, my one favorite sub, I have a lot, is the Resilient Sounds Gold V2s. If I had to pick one if that was a sub, I can only have one for the rest of my life. That's probably what I'd pick right now.
Here's a good one because he brings up. So Marks does have the MXD and the MXB. What I recommend you do, yeah, you can do a crossover, but better yet, why don't you just get a DSP? You're definitely not going to go wrong. In fact, the new Marks DSP, we have phone app, very easy to use, and if you add to your system, that DSP will allow you to fully adjust each amp separately. So you want to talk into that. So amps like this make a full range style and a bass amp. You can obviously run the full range and play bass, right? But you can't run the bass to play full range. What is the negativity, if any, of running the full range like the Teraamps does, but using it for bass?
The main difference, and we'll go ahead and talk about Teraamps and I mean even Stetson and even Martz. The reason why they came out with bass versions is in the early full bridges, if not many people noticed, but some guys did, if you listen or if you put an oscilloscope or anything on it, they drop volume under 30 hertz. So they kind of struggle to hit stuff under 30 hertz.
Right.
Where that's why they made the bass version. They just, I don't know what they did, but they changed the signal to where they didn't lose the bottom end. So if you take a bass amp and you play it like I do, because I'm a dork, pull it in, 5 minutes later, put the bass version, you will hear that under 30 hertz notes way louder.
Right.
So if you have a setup that you can't hit 20 hertz and under 30 hertz, and don't worry about it. But if you got some crazy
the everyday guy is not playing 20 hertz full volume. I mean,
yeah, you're not going to notice. You're not going to notice unless you got some ballsy deep subs that you're going to be able to hit those 20, 25 hertz.
Bobby, good question here. So I want everybody to understand, doing a big 3, big 4, big 5, whatever, it's not a night and day difference. Upgrading the power wire from the alternator to the battery is always a good thing, and also upgrading the negative. People understand you have to have at least equal power and ground. So I've literally seen grounds like get so hot they turn red. DC current, direct current, it has to go through, and HiFi, stop me if I start sounding stupid, okay? DC current, it has to go through, it's a direct current. So what comes in goes out. And what I mean by that is the power and ground are equally as important. That's also why it's directional, where AC current is not, and by flipping the positive negative is not gonna do the same thing or harm that DC would. So doing a big 3, or now they have big 4s and 5s, is basically you upgrading the factory wiring, which is usually not there for 500 amps. It's made just to run the vehicle. So doing the big 3, I think some people have the misconception they do that all of a sudden, that like boom, the system's going to be even that much louder. It's not. Longevity on your system, yes, because here's how. When I was in a retail and I owned a stereo shop years ago, it's called Pop My Trunk Custom, and explain to a customer wire size. I say, you take a Slurpee and you try to suck up the Slurpee with a coffee straw, you'll get some in there, but you're going to have one hell of a headache. And then you take that coffee straw out and you put a Slurpee straw in, right up, and you get a head freeze. It's the same thing with amplifiers and power. When you restrict it, you get your amperage rises, the heat, everything just goes bad, right? So same concept with the big 3 kits. You're just allowing more power in and out, less restriction. So that's the way to explain that. Bradley says, at what watts would you start upgrading your electronics, and in what order? I'll let you start with this one.
Man, that depends on what car you have and what you're starting with. Some cars come with a 100 amp alternator.
Yeah.
And
I mean, a lot of them now are coming with even higher. I mean, like most of them are even charging like over 14 now, man, with all the electrics.
Yeah, and like if you know, sometimes trucks will have 250 amps. So it just depends on what you start with. But batteries are a good place to start. Again, man, I would go lithium. I think AGMs are a thing of the past personally.
Yeah.
So battery is a good thing to start, but you guys got to remember something's got to charge the battery. Like
Right.
that Big Jeff battery, it'll handle 4,000 watts on its own for a short time. If you looked at the video, I think it pulled 475 amps. So if you translate that into watts, that's about 4,000 watts.
Right.
But you have to have an alternator that charges enough to not only run the car, run everything else, but charge that battery back up.
And I think
So
people forget, man, like the MechMan alternators we sell, you're talking $500. It's not really, when you're paying $500 for a battery, doing the alternator, it's really not that expensive. And keep in mind too, it also matters on what you're doing. So if you're one of those guys that likes to sit there in the parking lot basing, yeah, the alternator is not going to charge like the car's running. You know, and the batteries are going to wear down, and if you don't maintenance them, you can just kill them. So, you know, but when you get in that 3,000 watt range, I think that's when you start needing to be a little more serious. Yeah, with copper wire, not copper clad, and you know, stepping up to 0 gauge runs to get from the front to the back, and you know, adding in a secondary. You know, like the UC31s, why they're so popular, because they're cheap, and it's like, it's a super cap. It helps out, but it doesn't have any reserve power. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting there with the lights on, the AC on, and everything else, you know, let's look at this way. Say your car has a 100 amp alternator, but it takes 60 amps to just run and do its thing. That only leaves you 40 amps left over.
And also keep in mind, that's if it's a 100 amp alternator, it's going to put that out at 3,000 RPM. At idle, it's going to put out 30 amps.
Yeah, yeah. So always start with wire. I would make sure you have a decent battery, or at least an AGM under the hood. Definitely before you put a lithium in the back. And then, you know, the cherry on top is an alternator. You do all that with good wire, you might actually just have your equipment for years and not be blowing things up. That I can tell you for sure. So you also did, you know, we started selling American Base again. You also did the VFL Comp, which I was surprised too, because I didn't even think about it. It is a Korean amp.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew that. I didn't know it.
And for that price, really not a bad price. You know, American Base surprised me because, you know, some people know Bob, some people don't. Like, there's nothing special about the equipment, but it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, it works. It lasts. This was the VFL Comp right here. Looking at it, you wouldn't even think anything. Cheap bass knob. Doesn't even have Tiffany style, nothing. Just the basic amp. Had some thick heat sinks, I think. That's it. And, but your results on this particular amp, you did dynamic. Well, you got to the PowerPoint, but you had to get it there. But we can call it a 2K amp, right?
Yeah. First off, that amp, it looks way better in person than it did in pictures.
Right.
Pictures don't do it justice. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's nice. Yeah, the heat
the
sink
build
there.
quality was very good when you have it in your hands. But yeah, some guys don't think dynamic power is real. It's not fake. The meter is not going to read fake voltage. But all it is you guys got to think of it like this. Dynamic is real power. What it is, let's say you listen to rock and roll. Every time you hit the bass, that's going to be dynamic power. But if you're listening to a test tone for like
Right.
over 5 seconds straight, the voltage is going to drop from the caps, and now you're running off the power supplies. So if you listen to rock and country, honestly, look at dynamic. That's real
Right.
power. That's what you're going to get. If you're a total bass head and you play bass music that has super long, drawn out bass notes, then go by uncertified, because that's all it is. It's dynamic is using the energy stored in the caps inside the amp. So when that runs out, then it's just what the power supplies can put out constant. But dynamic is real power.
Let me bring up a piece of that video real quick. Hold on.
They do give you a metal bass knob with a power indicator. No clip LED, but it is a nice bass knob. And as always, we'll put a chart at the end with all the efficiencies and the certified, uncertified ratings. But let's go ahead and see what it puts out at 4 ohms.
So everybody, if you're seeing that black box, he actually designed that. It's a dummy load setup, but it's switchable. I got to give you props, man. Luckily, he had one left over and hooked me up. I'm using that on our test bench. Really cool because you can switch 4 to, I think, 1.3.
1.3.
Yeah, and it automatically times itself off. But I think I also doing testing with it hooked up to speakers because that's what you're going to possibly more see in the vehicle, right?
True, very true.
Than a static load. But keep in mind too, everybody's talking about upgrading. A lot of these amps are rated at their power like at 14 volts. If you're not given that and you're going right above 12, you're not going to see if it's rated at 2,000 or 3,000. Most of those ratings, if you read the pamphlets, is because it was on a bench at like 14 point whatever. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean the amp is cheap. It means they just rated it differently. All right. So what do you got coming up for the channel 2024? Because I think what I've seen is, man, you've really made some leaps, man. People are really noticing you. What's the plan for this year?
The plan is just to have fun and test stuff, man. I don't really have a plan. I just try to put information out there for guys to use, and I hope it helps all you guys make a decision.
And everybody know this. He doesn't have like a special review for me. I mean, we know when it gets sent out, he's gonna do his thing. Remember, this is not my equipment. The battery is something I made, but all the rest of the equipment, it's on the manufacturer. When I send stuff to him, it's real deal. It is what it is.
Yeah, so if it sucks, I'll say it sucks.
Yeah, right. So it's not a paid for thing. I think
nope.
Too, that HiFi does not get involved in the online clicks and craziness. He's in his own clique, which I think is real cool, and why his reviews are very trustworthy. That's the way I look at it. That's how I even found him. I didn't even know about him until just out of nowhere just caught a video. So
you didn't know about me?
No, sorry, I didn't know about you, man. I caught you on a video. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? Actually, no, I take that back because I told you, Audio Pipe that came to visit, stayed at the house. We barbecued that night, and your name came up with J-Rod.
Yeah.
Then it was obviously, there was a mix-up between your HiFi and another HiFi out there, and then we got it cleared up. So I've known them guys since I was 19 or 20.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I actually used to go with J-Rod. Like I used to be in the booths, Audio Pipe booths back in the day, Vegas, Spring Break, because I worked for the distributor, the main distributor. So we went as a distributor, and they went as a manufacturer. And me and J-Rod got stories for days back then. It's pretty crazy. But that's how I kind of learned about you. All right, listen, let's do this. If you haven't commented the word HiFi, do it now. We're giving away a UC31B stock. I think let's do this. I don't know if you knew. Well, I think I told you, but this weekend we're at the 2024 Pro Superstar Shootout with Camry Caruso. First time they've done a drag race like that at Bradenton Motorsports. Really cool. Bring up a video that weekend. That was just this weekend.
Big Jeff Audio goes back to the NHRA with Camry Caruso.
The old one's so good.
Right. Hey, one of the things we want to do first thing today is I'm going to have the Flow Racing people come over and do like a live stream of you.
You never know who you're going to run into at the Pro Superstar Shootout. We are cruising the pits at Bradenton Motorsports Park with my new buddy, Big Jeff. Found you in the Pro Stock pits, and I just want to know, before we talk about your business, how did you get into drag racing and what pulled you to Camry Caruso?
Give him a hand real quick.
Did I tell you we gave a lot of chains, bags, and freebies?
That was really awesome. Hopefully you all saw that. That was awesome, man. Bradenton Motorsports, first time ever here, and it's like 10,000 plus people here, and we brought the message, Big Jeff Audio, to NHRA. Man, crazy weekend.
I can't tell you the experience, man.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, like there was actually over 15,000. They had to shut the gates, and we were able to drive through the stands like that. I can't even explain it. You know, it's talking about being in these cliques and these stupid groups and everything else. And trust me, everybody that follows me, I love you guys. Thank you so much. But I'm trying to not be in these groups, man, like you. You know what I'm saying? Same thing you. You just want to do your thing. I'm trying to let the rest of the world know. Yeah, I want the rest of the world know who Big Jeff Audio is. And don't get me wrong, I got here from these groups and things like that and the following. But as the company grows or I grow, I just want to be worldwide. You know what I mean? I don't want to be stamped with somebody particular, man. Doing that was crazy. Flow Racing, we'll be putting out a video on the interview. Next month is going to be Gainesville, which is going to be huge. So that was fun, man. We passed out so many chains. Don't get me wrong. We only had like 2,500 chains we brought, but everywhere you look, there was a chain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy, dude. It was people you couldn't even stop you there. Just kept coming up. Oh, I heard the chain come out here. So it was really cool time. But
I didn't want to burst your bubble, man, but you got like -8 degrees camber on your front golf cart tire,
yeah,
man.
no, you know those are not 20s on there. They're 22s.
Oh wow.
So to get we had to get a custom kit a while back, and then to make it where you could even turn, you had to do that so it would move. But yeah, it's pretty bad. But 22s, you have to jump up in the cart. It's pretty tall. I've seen plenty of 20s, but 22-inch rims off a car is pretty crazy. If you guys got any questions for HiFi or me, throw it out there. We've had some good talk tonight. I want to keep that going.
I want to add something real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure.
On the whole wiring thing, guys, buy oxygen-free copper power wire. It's worth the money. Real quick, it has twice the capacity. Like if you buy number 4 gauge OFC,
it's like a 0 gauge. Yeah.
It's gonna do basically if it's gonna do way more than OFC. So it's like you're buying a whole gauge up bigger wire if you just buy.
Everybody's
OFC.
afraid of the price, but what you don't realize is for longevity, heat is the killer of amplifiers, right? Okay.
Yep.
And when you use that shit wire, you get tons of heat.
Well, and heat creates resistance.
Yeah, which
So
raises
when a
amperage, and it's just like it just keeps going from there, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So he's right 100%. Spend the money for the copper. Now, can you get away with copper clad? Yeah, if you're running just a 1,000 watt or 1,500 watt amp and you're oversizing it, so you're running 4 gauge, great, save some money. But do it one time and get it over with, right? That's the way I kind of look at it. Don't have it corrode on you, and then you'll see CCA. Go look at it after a year. You'll see a big difference, man. It's crazy. Okay, we actually met some fans out there from here, which was kind of cool. Let's see what we got here. What's this? Cheaper, do right first time, take it from us, old school bass dudes. Yep, 100%.
Tin helps with the 10 line copper wire. It helps with oxidation on the copper.
Right. So that's why you see most of your marine wire is called copper tinned. It's still copper, just has that tin on there. What would start upgrading your electronics? We already talked about that one. Okay, so let's get to what else we were talking about. What do you got coming up that you're testing?
Right now, I'm doing a few shallow mount subs. I've never really messed with them because I've had room, but I've had a lot of guys ask me about shallow mounts. So I'm going to be throwing out a few more shallow mount 10 videos just to kind of get some information out there for my guys. I got the Martz DSP that I'm going to check out here in the next probably 3 weeks.
Right.
So I'm going to be doing that. Then I got some Korean Soundstream 4 channels I'm going to be throwing out this month. I've had those for a while, and I just want to put them on the dyno and get those out there. And then
let me ask you, you're an engineer. What is so hard to create the big dyno that they can't make anymore? I mean, because you almost made it with what you got. What is the big difference?
It's because there's more coding on that, because they basically had to code everything from the DD1 Plus, the AMM1, all into like one basically computer board.
Right.
So it does everything basically that mine does, but mine doesn't have the brain. Mine's just, that's why you have to use the AMM1 with mine.
Right.
So it's like mine with the AMM1 and the DD Plus built in. That's what it is.
Also, there's some restrictions because like on forum and that, you can only go so high. Which kind of restricts you down. Bobby and we were just talking about that, the tin wire. Yeah, if you're around salt air, I don't care if you're around moisture, period, humidity, Florida, do the tin copper for sure. Is that the comment you were seeing there? Yeah, what deal with line copper wire, just tin. Okay, so you got some. Oh wait, hold on. Are amps more efficient than higher ohm loads? That's a good question.
No, it depends on the amp. Some are more efficient at 4 ohms, some are more efficient at 1 ohm. It's just all on how it's designed.
And now what I've seen is if you want to have less on your electronics, running at a higher ohm. So like instead of wiring it down to 1 ohm using a 1 ohm amp, using a 2 ohm, wouldn't that be less on the electronics?
I didn't catch what you're saying. Say that again.
So if you have the option to run it 1 ohm amplifier or 2 ohm amplifier, right? And you're able to wire the subs up to be 2 ohm, wouldn't running at 2 ohm be less on the vehicle electronics?
Not really, because if an amp is rated at, let's say, 5K at 2 ohms and you have another amp rated at 5K at 1 ohm, it's going to be using the same power. It's just designed to do it at a different impedance.
Gotcha. So the only way it would be less is if you had a 1 ohm amp and you were running it at 2 ohms.
Correct. 2 ohms or 4 ohms.
Gotcha. Okay. If you have any questions, put them up here. We've had some good talk tonight. I really can't wait to see what your input is on the new Martz amps for sure. We had Hertz on last week. I learned actually a lot. I know you said you didn't know much about it. I told you to watch the podcast. I think everybody did.
It was a good podcast.
Yeah, because if you really wanted to know information, that was a good podcast because he really broke it down and explained why the stuff Now, granted, some of the stuff is just expensive because it's the name, but the majority of the stuff is expensive because of the insides. What do we got here, everyone? Sorry for getting late. Robin Williams, no reason to apologize. Did y'all win the softball at least? Was it worth it? But thank you for making it. And then next week, actually, we have two guys on from Rockford. We got Eric Russell and Joe Gonzalez. And then what's going to be really cool is I don't know if you ever heard of this guy, Chad Loud.
I haven't.
Okay. Okay, so he got a chain at one of the shows, right? And then he went and did a demo in the Down for Sound vehicle, and everybody made such a big deal, like he should have went in there with the chain on. Like,
Oh
are you kidding
God.
me? Okay, exactly. All right. And they tried to blast him online about it because there was a video of him getting a demo. And why? What does it matter? He's wearing a chain. So he fired back, telling everybody that wear whatever he wants. It's stupidity. Well, anyway, I sent the guy out for sticking up for us because who cares, right? And I sent him out a whole swag pack, like the whole fucking thing. This guy made his own video opening it up. And I'm going to tell you what, it was probably the best video. Like, the guy's got so much. He's just one of those guys, right? You got to watch and laugh and smile. He's got so much energy. So I invited him on to be a co-host. The guy is just filled with energy. He'll be on next week, too. Okay. Kick it one time, boys. Terry Heidman. Don't think I've seen your name.
Kick
Brad,
it one time.
Yeah, kick it one time. What is this? Hold on.
What the heck's that mean?
Florida Jeep Fest. Jeep Fest. Try to make it. What's this one here? Single sub setup, single voice call, dual voice call. Okay, well, that's a good question for you to answer, Mr. Engineer. Besides the ohm, the resistance, is there a better quality of having a single voice call over a dual voice call, or vice versa?
I don't believe there's any. It's again, they just wire them dual voice coil, so you have more options. You know, a lot of home audio stuff, single voice coil, but it's just because, you know, you're not, everything's basically wired to 4 ohm or 8 ohm with home audio. So
if it's a dual voice call and you only wire one of them, is it bad for the woofer then?
I mean, honestly, in an engineering standpoint, the coils are separate, so I wouldn't think it would do anything. You're just not using one. But see, the problem with that is a sub is designed to use the power from both coils. So if you're only using the one, the sub's not going to move as much as it would if you were using both.
Right.
And then the suspension compliance is going to basically be tighter if you're only using one coil. That's my theory, but I have not messed in car audio with a lot of single coil subs.
Brandon, put whatever stickers you want on your car. That's what it's about. I don't know why some people take it personally. Like it's why do they take it so personally? Like what is the big deal if they want to represent different companies they bought from? If y'all figure that out, let me know one day because I will never figure that out.
Yeah, I think that's so crazy too, because I mean, we all like the same thing. It's like everybody makes good different products. It's like
Right.
I don't get the whole fanboy thing too, where some people only like one brand and they think everything else sucks, because that's just ignorance, man.
No, I agree with you. It's a crazy thing. Okay. We talked about upcoming projects. I got one for you. This is a good one. Is there any products you're excited to test?
Yeah, I'm excited to test that Martz DSP because I love messing with DSPs. I've done a lot of them.
Okay.
I'm actually looking forward to testing some Avatar and Defbont subs because I have never messed with those before, and I have a bunch of guys asking me about them, and I can't tell them anything because I've never heard of them. Personally.
Which one?
The Avatars and the Defbonts.
So I'll
like
tell
the
you what.
3012Rs.
Last Black Friday, we sold over. I don't have an exact count. I have to look it up. 150 of the STUs, the Avatars. Now, 150 of a particular subwoofer in a 10-day period, that's a lot of subwoofers, man. Let me tell you. 20 or 30 is good day. Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Different models, 20 or 30. Over 150 of one model blows my mind. So that STU is pretty popular. Getting into the Def Bonds ones, you got the 3 series, the 4 series. What I would like to see is we got in, everybody wanted that big 45 series. That's their biggest one, right? In a 12-inch. We got them in. It's the same motor as the others, but in a 12-inch. I'd love to see somebody do a big build with that. It's a pretty crazy woofer. But yeah, Avatar, the coaxials are nothing to complain, special about. I'm not real great with the amps. Some people buy them, but when we put those stews up, which will be on sale again, people go literally nuts over it.
Well, you know what's funny? I know you. I got some of those little 3.5-inch dash speakers.
Yeah.
Just to use for something, and there were the black diamonds. They were like $35 or $40. Those things actually sounded pretty good.
Yeah. Again, you got like this tweet. You got nothing. It's basically use it for a mid-range and tweeter, right? You can't really.
They said, "Hey, man, I hear a lot of different stuff, and they don't sound like junk. They sound really good, actually."
There you go. You heard it from the man, Robin Williams. We're gonna put him up here. The Avatar SUs are very underrated. Can take some power, 20K in a pair of 0.5s. The king with these. So Robin actually has, and he can float. I've seen him float a damn book bag before. He's floated full out like blankets. Man, he just loves getting it going and floating stuff in the window. But he is definitely an STU guy. What else you got here? I have a new build coming out, 9 of them in a Suburban and 6 in my Tahoe. So he's definitely stepping it up. We got HiFi. What's your opinion on massive audio subs? Ooh, good one. I always like Massive, man. Massive's been around for a long time. And let me explain real quick, and I'll let you answer that one. Massive used to be very popular 10 years ago plus. And I think they got too complacent and they stopped doing all the marketing they were doing. And obviously all these other brands are popping up. But if you got to think about it, some of their stuff has been the same, never changed for 10 years, like the Hippos and the Sumos. It's been the same SKU, same driver.
Yeah, their stuff is good, man. They're a quality brand, and I mean they have their budget line subs that are still good, and they're expensive subs, but they're, like you said, they've been around for a while. They're not new kids on the block. Their stuff is solid, all of it.
Yeah, I mean the cheaper stuff like the GTXs sell very well, and it's like anything, you can tear anything up, but the Hippos and the Sumos are pretty badass. Okay, all right, we're gonna do the giveaway. Before I forget, you want to explain to everybody how a UC31 works?
The UC31 Super Cap?
Yeah. That's it right
so
there.
basically this Super Cap, it's not like a regular capacitor. What the Ultra Caps and the Super Caps are, they have more reserve power than a regular capacitor, but it's not as much as a battery. So they're not quite a battery, but they're more than a regular cap.
But
so
it holds enough juice. You can start a car. I mean, that's all you get because it'll die, but it'll start.
Yeah, they're very powerful, but they do store it longer than a regular cap. A regular cap wouldn't start a car; it would die before you actually started it. So yeah, it's not a battery, but it'll give a crazy ton of power right there.
So the recharge rate is milliseconds. You can't even.
Yeah, recharge rate is super fast.
Right.
So
you got to use them in conjunction with another battery, but basically, whenever the base hits, it supplies the power and then charges right back up for the next hit, right?
Exactly. So, they work really well, actually.
I think that's why they've been so popular. You still get these people on there talking about a recall and everything else. But we've sold, last year, I think we've sold over 3,000 of them. That's pretty crazy. Usually average about 100 plus a month. But we're going to give one away tonight to B stock, so it's not going to look pretty, but the innards are brand new. It is Bluetooth. There is a way on the website, you'll see that you have to set it up for the initial charge and then connect it to your phone. Let my team. Who won the B stock UC31? Ryan
C.
There you go. Ryan, I don't think I've heard that name before. Congratulations. Contact us at 737-BIG-JEFF. That's 737-244-5333. You can WhatsApp us, text us, call us, or what was it? You told me to hold on, or
No, I was going to say, congratulations, Ryan C.
there you go. You're the winner tonight. So this was episode 37. Next week, Tuesday, we're going to have on some higher ups from Rockford, and we're going to have a co-host, Chad Loud, which I'm excited. Reach out if you want to be on the podcast. You know somebody wants to be on the podcast. Just email us at podcast@bigjeffaudio.com. As always, I appreciate everybody coming in tonight. We've been using this new Restream instead of StreamYard, which allows all the comments to be seen. Pretty cool software. We always like to be innovative and try different things, and that's what we've been doing. Mr. Vector Audio, I thank you so much for coming on. Definitely gonna do it again after you test some more stuff, and we can talk about it.
I
get you some of that marked out right away.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and I appreciate all you guys that watch my channel, man. I really do. So there's like a really cool bunch of guys that are on my channel, so I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I look at the comments. You're always going to have the riffraff and the idiots out there that just have to comment, but it looks like the majority of your people are real.
Yeah, they are a lot of really cool guys. So
yeah, so I love having you on. There's only a few YouTubers I work with. You're one of them. That's the relationships I like to keep, and we try to keep it real. As always, thank you for checking us out, being on here with Tuesday night. Tax money coming in. Pull that flyer up. We got a bunch of stuff already on sale. Pull that up. We got a bunch of stuff. You want to catch some of the older marks, they're on sale. Audio control, big sale. Kicker, bunch of product. Sundown, excess power is going on sale, and Friday we'll start Jeff Bumps at bigjeffaudio.com. You get to pick out freebies with your order. Generally, we ship very quickly. There are times things will happen. If you have an issue, just hit us up. We'll take care of it. It doesn't happen instantly. We have a little process, but we'll get you taken care of. And I thank you for all your business. For everybody, we got Taylor the Hair, who is not the hair anymore. He's got a haircut.
Yeah.
Now you're making that face, but when you work with the guy now for a while, yesterday was in my office and I kept staring like, who the fuck's in my office, right? I really couldn't get it. And we got Ben Jam in here, and I'm not sure if Valley wants to come on, but Ben's been he was with me all weekend, so he got to be a part of that craziness. I'll tell you what, HiFi, have you ever been to a drag race?
Not in a long time, but man, that looked fun when you guys were hanging out this weekend.
Let me tell you something. When the funny cars come out, I can't even explain what it feels like and sounds like. Take the loudest vehicle you ever heard and times that by 50. You feel it in the back of your throat. It is incredible. And then when the fumes kick in, you can be literally a couple hundred yards away and still have a hard time breathing, and your eyes tear.
Yeah.
They literally go
like
through
the whole part of it.
over 8 gallons of fuel just to get to the end of the track. And
Jeez.
there was a guy this weekend that broke a record. He was like 390-something miles an hour in the quarter mile, bro. I mean, you're talking about a jet, right?
That's crazy.
It is crazy. You basically just have to launch and hold on for the ride. So that was really cool. We'll be there. We'll be doing Gainesville next week. And Ben Jam in here is getting video and pictures and everything ready from it. Also, I'm told B2 Audio is going to be sending us some pictures and videos next week at the factory in the warehouse. So we'll be getting that up. Hopefully get that product rolled soon for everybody. As is, I am Big Jeff from Big Jeff Audio. Big sound by Big Jeff with HiFi Vector Audio. Check out his YouTube. Subscribe, comment, show him some love. And we will see you next week. I am signing off.
Dough in the bag, yeah, that's a wrap. Big sound is the best, and it ain't no cap. Hit the website if you need that merch. It's Big Jeff Audio and hit the search. I know you had fun, yeah, you gotta admit it. That boy Big Jeff took his thing and he did it. Always a win, yeah, never a L. Did you smash the like, subscribe, and hit the bell? Share it on your socials, put it on blast. We'll be back next week with another podcast. Big sound in the house, like no other. Deviant and Big Jeff, the Basshead Brothers.